Hey, good evening, everybody. So glad you could join us. Y'all have no idea what's been going on today. Trying to get ready for this podcast to get it to resume our podcast after we took a couple of weeks break to take our mission trip. That was one of the things we wanted to make sure we talked about today. And oh my goodness, Sonar, if y'all see Sonar, she's being very quiet. She's being very composed and she's breathing very slowly because she is trying to not let everybody know how crazy it's been for her for the last 30 minutes trying to get all the technology set back up and working right and that sort of thing. Where is she? There she is.
The devil is determined that we are not going to talk about what we're going to talk about. My page just disappeared and said, you might want to refresh. I,
What you want me to do? You mean to talk? Okay, I can talk. Uh, Everybody, we were so glad you could join us. Thank y'all for being faithful. Thank y'all for being considerate. Sonara and I went on a mission trip that was afforded us through my work, and it was a great group to go with. It was a great opportunity. We'll tell you all about it. Let's see how Sonara's feeling.
we're trying. My page keeps saying I need to refresh. I don't know what all's going on. Let me try to close a few things on here, Keith. I think it's just overwhelmed. It hadn't happened.
Okay, as y'all can see, she's doing the best she can. I do good to do the work that I do, and I do not need to try to learn uh, all the technology and stuff like that Snar and JT and Land know how to do.
Stay on here. This has never happened before.
Okay, well, we need some. Well, I
We
guess
we
we're
we
gonna.
we, we titled this though. I want to say this before I get cut off again.
Well, for some reason or another, her computer and my computer acted like they had never seen StreamYard before. So when we started trying to get everything ready for tonight, we had to engage StreamYard, even though we pay a considerable amount of money to have StreamYard. She had to get her computer working again. I had to get my computer working again. Mine is not completely working, but it's functional. As you can see, I'm talking and you're hopefully listening. Uh, but one of the main things we want to talk about was our mission trip that we were able to go on week before last to Anawa, Chihuahua State, Mexico, to a children's home. And it was a great opportunity. And that's what we wanted to talk to you about. But we wanted to speak in terms of the the spiritual aspects of what we do. And Landon says she can hear me, so that's good. Sonara's still working on her computer, obviously. Thank goodness the connection to me is still working, so I can carry on. Here's what I want to do. Go ahead. Are you back? Do you think you got it?
I don't know how long I'm back. Yeah, I'm hoping I've got it. I don't know what you said. I couldn't hear y'all, and I don't think you could hear me either. But um, yeah, we named this "Love Without Words" because we went on this trip and we thought, yeah, we don't speak Spanish, but we got translators on our phone, and we were all. I don't want to use the word cocky, but I will. And we thought, I don't think you or I realized how much we rely on our words for everything that we do. And and
Yes.
and, and you know what? It was
You just froze. Uh-oh. Well, boy, she started off good. The point she was making, though, is how much we rely on our words to, to do everything. And the spiritual aspect of it, and we've covered this before, it goes all the way back to, the Tower of Babel incident when God had told Adam and Eve, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. Well, they weren't obedient. Then, he told Noah and his 3 sons and their wives, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. And they weren't obedient. And quite to the contrary, they kept trying to stick together, and they just wouldn't do it.
Scoot over, baby.
Well, let's see if I can make room for the chief.
Oops, I'm sorry. I'm trying to get a chair in here. Whoops. Bye, Jingies. I'm not gonna be outside.
Okay, can y'all hear Sonar?
Pull our microphone over.
That's as far as it's gonna go, sweetie.
Scoot over a little bit, big boy.
How about that?
I don't know. Trying to get in here with you.
Okay, I'll lean down and you lean up. This is too funny.
I mean, it will not. It will
Okay.
not. Okay, but what we were saying before.
You're talking about how much we have security and comfort because we can communicate with words, and we can gather our thoughts, and we can pause, and we can use words for dramatic effect, and
we can say we love you. We can say, and this is to everybody, and not just Spanish speaking people. We just say it.
Yeah,
we say it.
It's easy to say. That's part of the problem too. We find out.
Yeah. So how do you show it without being able to talk about it? And, so much of this, trip for you and me, I guarantee you we got more out of this than they did.
You and I certainly did.
Yeah.
Certainly did.
And just realizing that how do you put this in words?
Well, sweetie, you're crippled because you're the photos and things like that you were going to show are at your computer. And
I've worked all day.
I know.
I worked all day to show you the photos and to try to show you the things we did. Let's talk a little bit about how this came about. Usually when people go on mission trips, I think they usually go with their church or whatever, but this
church or youth group, or
this just so happens that we went with the business that you work for and JT works for. And they were so excited that a business was coming.
Especially a business in the construction business. We didn't know at the time what they thought they were getting.
Well, I got to be kind of on the outside looking at all y'all's faces whenever all these executives showed up and they said, look at this. We need this sheetrock done. We need this tile laid. And we're so happy to have a construction company come here, and you talking about looking like deer caught in the headlights. All of y'all were like, we the pencil pushers. We don't know.
We sat at computers all day.
And thank the Lord we had Johnny and a couple of people that did have some experience. Not that y'all didn't have any.
And it also had, background in construction. Yeah. And a lot of the young ones, have done actual construction work before they moved into management. And so, hey, everybody rolled up their sleeves. JT and I headed up getting the workshop organized and made into an actual workshop, not just a space where they stored a bunch of tools and stuff. Yes, and Johnny for real is a tile layer, so that helped a lot. But all the executives that rolled up their sleeves and wives.
Oh yeah.
Toting mortar mix, toting boxes of tile, toting a big,
Sheetrock,
huge
whatever.
4x8 sheets of underlayment. That was for the church building.
And Hannah and some of the others, they actually grow a lot of their own food there at the casa.
Yeah,
And
they grow livestock, and they grow
And they had
some vegetables and fruits. Yes,
they had slaughtered a pig.
they had slaughtered a pig.
Now,
like
don't
the day
think
before we
Babe.
got there.
Don't think Babe, pig. We talking a hog. And they had cut it just a little bit, like they had cut it in half and maybe another quarter or so.
No, it was had.
I had some unbelievable pictures to show y'all, and of them carrying that and taking it and cutting it up. And so all these, you think you may be prepared and you may bring your skills. Well, life begins at the end of your comfort zone.
Yes.
And that is what everybody learned. Everybody did jobs they never thought they'd do. They couldn't have conceived of doing. I think Hannah painted trees and cut up a hog.
Painted 72 trees.
Yeah, with this lime.
And folks, there's a mortar mix.
It's lime. It was lime. We found out.
Yeah, and they paint like the bottom 4 feet of all the trees that have any value at all, and that's to keep bugs from attacking the trees. And there were 72 on the campus, and our daughter-in-law, Hannah, JT's wife, she grabbed the task of painting every one of those trees for the whole week. And it didn't take her the whole week, but it took her 2 or 3 days to get all of them.
It was rough. It was rough.
It was, because you're down there under the limbs and squatting down, kneeling down, painting with a big paintbrush. That white mix.
It was like water. It was horrible. But anyway, there were so many jobs that people did that they had no idea they were going to do. They thought they came with certain skill sets, and they found other things to do.
Well, and here's what you
and we're
let's talk about where it is we actually went. What it is where we went to serve.
I'm sorry, I don't have any of my pictures.
That's okay, sweetie. Yes, it would have been better if you'd been able to show your pictures, but like we said, Satan's doing everything he can to not let this one go off.
Could you tilt this down just a little bit? You're kind of filming the ceiling up there. Nope, that's the light. That's not it.
What'd you say? Oh, the camera?
Mm-hmm.
How about that?
That's a little better.
Okay. This is a children's home. Mm-hmm. It's comprised of very disadvantaged children. Most of them are Native Americans. I do not recall the name of the tribe.
Begins with a T.
Yeah, I do remember it started with a T.
I can't remember.
Or orphans. I mean, outright orphan children.
Some of them, their parents bring them there because they really can't afford to feed them.
Can't afford to feed them. Can't afford to raise them.
It is a good opportunity, though, because otherwise they pretty much lock the young ones in a room while they try to go out and find work during the day, and come back and they only really get one meal a day.
Yeah. During the life they came from, they would do good to have one meal a day. I mean, it's a pretty impoverished region, mainly because the paper mill, they ran out of trees, a big, huge paper mill. And you can tell from the amenities and infrastructure in the town that at one time it was probably a very prosperous town due to the huge paper mill that was there. But they ran out of trees, and somebody forgot to plan for the fact that you're in a almost desert area, and if you don't have the latest and greatest technology to farm trees, which is it's an everyday thing in Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana. Tree farming is just the way you do it. Well, down there, that didn't happen, and they ran out of trees, and so the paper mill would have shut down if they had not converted it to recycling. And so now the paper mill runs at only about a third capacity. So the town lost a huge source of employment. and it's really hard times there. Now, this school and children's home has been in existence for about 30 years, and so they are the bright spot for young people. They're limited on how many they can house. When the director was taking us back to the airport after our week was up, some of the things he talked to us was, what some of our ideas were for expansion, what needed to be done next, so that what would the steps need to be so that they could expand the school. They have land, but they've got to take little bitty steps as far as money and things like that. That's why groups like ours that come in, are a big boost.
Well, we worked at the school, but a lot of the work that they needed done was at the church in the actual town, which
Yes.
of course all the children attend every Sunday, but they've opened it up and really been reaching out to the community. And the day that we were there, they had a good many. They said they had a lot of people coming in, and we're also doing, and we help do this, food giveaways from the church and clothes.
That's a great point.
Mm-hmm.
The organization that runs the school and the church, the school and home is for the kids, and then the church is for the community. And everything they can do, they do, but then they depend on people like our groups to come in and fill the gap, do things that just the staff, the staff is there. Those kids are there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so the staff that they have, which are not many, it's the director and 4 full-time employees. They've already got their hands full.
But they really have that organized well, because
really do.
I know Pepe said at one point in time, he was talking about him talking to the children, and they could run that school by themselves.
That's how well organized they have the children.
Older ones look after the younger ones. They even seat them that way at the tables. And I watched, as we went in every day, we would sit at different tables with different groups of children, because they were kind of assigned a table, for the time we were there. I don't know if they normally are.
And they weren't segregated by age group or anything like that. They were segregated by sex. Girls on one side, boys on the other.
But the point is that, we would sit there with them and we watched them go through all their chores and things that they did, and how the day that we had the little green peas that the little ones didn't want to eat, that was the funniest thing. Children are
that was some of the funniest things
all over the world. They don't want to eat green stuff. And
we call them English peas. They were
some type of lentil bean, little small. And
but each table had the whole range of ages, from the young ones to the older ones, and the older ones, were kind of caretakers of the kids at the table, and then they all paid attention to us, and we paid attention to them, and
we tried. But I just want to say, for example, at one of the table we were at the day of the Green Pea Day, that was so one funny. Of them, when he was like, no, he wasn't doing it. You could tell, you don't have to speak Espanol to understand. I'm not eating those. And the older boy, he was really being stern with him. I could tell, he was saying. And so we did have our translators. And so I asked him, I said, he doesn't want to eat. And he said, it's better for me to get on to him now and he eat them than Sylvia see him, which is the lunch lady.
Stern.
And he'd be punished for not eating them. And he'd eat a few peas and he'd gag. He'd eat a few peas and he'd gag. And he was trying. He ate every one of them. But that was something. We had to snicker. But he got them down.
Yeah. And then let me say this: we ate 3 meals a day with them, and then for 4 of the days we went to work. And when I say we went to work, I'm talking about we didn't stop. like I said, JT, our son, he and I took on organizing the shop.
Let's
And
talk about the shop for a second. So many people, and this is a thing that they warned us about before we went on the mission trip. And I think this is something important to think about, that as Americans, we basically want to just throw money at a situation and think that we've made it better. That's not always the case.
In many cases,
it hurts more than it helps. Opposite effect. And not to say that the shop was an example of that, but you could see that people had donated very, very expensive, good woodworking. I mean, the drills, the saws, the
woodworking, metalworking. They actually had a very, very expensive, brand new, out of the box, brand new electric metal forge machine.
I mean, amazing. But guess used. What? It's all was pushed into a corner.
It was in the room
covering it up.
Yeah, it was in the room that was supposed to be the woodworking shop and the metalworking shop. So these young men and young women who wanted to could learn some life skills as far as carpentry, plumbing, electrical, stuff like that. That's what this room was supposed to be for.
When we got there,
it was just a storage room.
It was just a jumble. It was a mess. And somebody has gone in some groups before, because they have rooms and rooms and rooms of supplies that have been organized. They call it the Home Depot. And you could go to Home Depot, you can find anything. But what is missing is people to go and people to make that happen, that to teach them this. Older people could do this very thing. In your church or organization or whatever, you've got a bunch of old men that know how to run all this equipment and could teach these boys. And, to set something like that up would just be amazing. For, just take the high school boys. There's not that many high school boys, and teach them. They would love to learn something like that.
Yeah. I mean, they had several welders. They had welding machines. They had several very expensive drill presses, band saws, table saws, chop saws. Like I said, the electric forge, that was a very expensive piece of equipment. It was all just pushed together and jumbled up. And as people would donate more stuff, they just put it in the room, and nobody knew how to organize it.
They had 6 drill presses.
Yeah. So the first thing we did was start pulling the stuff apart and seeing how much of something you had. JT calls it, Mr. Salty calls it the dream shop. Oh, it was.
Yeah, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
I would love to have a woodworking shop that had that equipment in it.
Well, y'all built a wood rack, and
built a wood rack so they could have a place in the shop itself to store lumber.
Organize the shop, kind of got it started. It's ready for somebody to come back in now and maybe take just one piece of equipment and do a class. But that's something that the next group, will have to do. You have to go, you have to be.
Yeah.
It's not about saying, it's not about throwing money. It's about being there. It's about doing, showing the love of Jesus without words.
Cleaning gutters. You and Ray's wife, Sonia, y'all.
We painted
so much of the building areas that people had just, it looked like they just hit and miss.
They've had problems with that before. We talked to them about all that, but you do have a lot of groups coming in, and it gets confusing. And we talked to them about branding a little bit, and it's a work in progress.
Yeah.
But we of course I enjoyed painting, but we had the kids paint. We did activities with them like that. Let's see some of the other things. They laid tile. They laid sheetrock. Painted trees, carved up pigs.
Yeah.
And what a wonderful time we had just with other Christians. Keith.
What
a wonderful time we had with other Christians.
Oh my gosh. The fellowship of other believers having a like purpose. Now, let's do a shout out right now to this organization called Disciple Trips.
And I had a
Disciple
page I was
Trips.
going to show, but it's
Yeah.
www.discipletrips.com.
Yes. And they were the organizers of not only our group going, but they were the organizers of some others. Now, you got to understand, they do not have a group go to this school every week. In other words, we didn't leave and somebody was coming in. We didn't leave on a Saturday and another group was coming in on a Saturday. In the wintertime, they typically have only 2 groups over the entire winter. So think about it. Think about it. Those kids go a long time between the time they see people like us.
And very few of them, they have the option if they have families that when the short time that school is out that they can go home, but a lot of them don't. And a lot of them that do come back extremely skinny.
Yeah,
And,
extremely skinny. They've gone without meals. At the school, they are fed 3 meals a day, every day, no matter what. So that's something they can count on. But let me tell you, for us, again, we're westernized. We're Americans, and we have preconceived notions. Well, thank goodness this Disciple Trips organization came and spoke to our group twice, and they basically helped us work through and conceptualize what we were about to do, where we were about to be, and to think in terms of making it as easy culturally, socially, and spiritually on us for what we were going to be seeing the minute we hit the ground in Chihuahua State, Mexico. And they did an extremely good job of that. But one of the things, just like Sonar said, one of the things they kept saying is the be, not nearly as much, the be and the do, and not nearly as much as the
go be do.
Go be do.
I don't know
go
if they said
do.
exactly that, but that is exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It is actually going. It's actually being there and being the church, being the hands, being the feet, being the body.
Yes. Now, let me tell you what the reward was. The reward was, and again, now, like I said, we didn't come behind a group that had just left the week before. As a matter of fact, it had been like a month since another group had been there. And not all groups are equally equipped.
I think a lot of youth go on these trips.
A lot of them would just be so inexperienced and wouldn't have a clue. I mean, without somebody saying, pick this up, move it over there, whatever. But our groups were basically, we're all self-starters. We all have initiative. We are initiative driven. So nobody had to tell us twice, what the task was. And then we just set about doing it. Well, we took pride in the fact that at the end of the week, the director said that he had never had a group that in just the 1 week we were there accomplish all that we accomplished in the week. And that he was very thankful and very proud. And one of the
things that he was really thankful for, though, that you might miss is that we interacted so much with the kids.
Oh, my gosh.
And us old people, we were the old people. I mean,
you and I were the oldest 2 on the trip.
We really couldn't get out there and play soccer with a bunch of very athletic kids. We could, we found things to do, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
We made Keith the candy man one night. And when you won Predator, which was this game they played, they get to run, go get their candy. And they feed them very healthy food at this school.
Oh, yeah.
But they like the candy. And they loved you after that, because we had learned that, one of the things was that the grandfather figures in their culture is usually the disciplinarian.
He's the distant one, the distant one, and
they say
doesn't say much. And, when he does say something, it's usually, corrective.
And
stern.
So they wouldn't even look at you at first. And then after we made you the candy man, they were okay with you after that.
Oh, yeah, because I greeted them with a smile. But
Keith liked to teach them how to shake hands like a man. He'd go around to all the boys and show them how not to do the wet fish.
Yeah, don't do the dead fish handshake. And, that they didn't know these kind of things. So
Yeah.
I was
Just
trying to teach them,
just
the
being.
older ones,
Yeah.
how to present themselves to a grown up,
They
things like
love
that.
They like that.
Yeah. But here's what I was going to say. We got there early on a Saturday morning. Oh my gosh, we left early on Saturday morning. So we got there early on a Saturday morning. So we had all of that Saturday, and then we went to church with the kids on Sunday. And then Sunday afternoon, we spent time with the kids.
I wish we could have had the pictures because I had so many good pictures of their interaction with us. And we had an interpreter, and Matt spoke and did a demonstration with the kids and acted out Jonah and the whale, and then tied all that together with Jesus. And it was really good.
It really was. But my point was simply this. By the time, we ate supper with them on Saturday night, ate breakfast with them on Sunday morning, then we went to church with them. By the time we had eaten lunch with them after church, I mean, you're just sitting there thinking, and I actually said this to Snar. I said, if it were me, I'd just grab up all 51 of them and take them home with us. That's how much you fall in love with these kids, because oh my gosh, to see those eyes light up when you smile at them, to see that big smile on their faces, and they're so glad that you are paying attention to them. You are there for them. You are there letting them know that they are valuable and they mean something to you. And folks, let me tell you something. They reward that feeling. And that's what Snar was saying. How do you show the love of Christ without words? Well, kids aren't stupid. And the fact that they can see a fake a mile away. And none of us, and I'm talking about in our group, none of us were fake. All of us were there with the right attitudes, the right desires, the right openness of heart, the openness of mind, the openness of spirit. And those kids, like I said, Saturday afternoon, Sunday morning, Sunday at lunch, and I literally told Sonara, I said, I'd grab up all 51 of these and take them home with us.
You scared me.
You do what?
You scared me a little bit. I knew exactly where you were coming from. Exactly.
I'm telling you, just fall in love with those kids.
It's a beautiful place, though, isn't it? It's a beautiful place.
Oh my gosh, yes. There. That part of Chihuahua State is just beautiful, beautiful.
And the
beautiful.
Facility is really nice.
Yes. Thankfully, we didn't have to go out into the middle of nowhere and start building something from scratch. They have a great facility. They've been there about 30-something years. And the good thing about the legacy of, let's see, what does it say? Casa de la Esperanza. There you go. That's my
backwards?
shirt.
No,
one God, one cause, one house, one God, one hope. That's their motto.
If you're tuning in late, we had an awesome slideshow to go with this little talk that would have been a lot more jointed.
Oh yeah.
But the devil didn't want us to show that, and he wouldn't let me get on my computer, and I just came in here and pulled up a chair. So
well, we're gonna post the pictures. We're gonna post the pictures and let y'all see them, and maybe do a follow up.
We can put them on Invisible Things. We can put them on our Facebook page.
There you go. Okay. Sure can. Okay. Well, anyway, what I was getting to is this. They're so glad that you're there, and they very quickly pick up on the fact that you genuinely can look each one of those children in the eye, and they know that you love Jesus. And because you love Jesus, they know that you love them too. And oh my gosh, the reward coming back, reward coming back is immeasurable.
Yeah, I think so. I think the kids know. I think they feel that they know they're not easily fooled by anyone. I mean, you can tell they know when somebody's caring about them, even if we can't say it. We are working on our Spanish. Well, y'all just don't know.
We haven't gotten to talk about the language yet, but we'll get there. But here's what you need to understand. This this school and children's home has been there. I was told at least 30 years, and so they have actually graduated some members of society that have gone on to do things and be in positions of leadership in Chihuahua State.
Well, we experienced that coming into the airport. When we came into the airport, I've never, you go to touristy places, but this is the first time I've ever really been to Mexico. And so we pull into the airport, and our guide even said, I've never seen them check every bag like this. I don't know what's going on. I mean, they were opening every bag.
They were going to the bottom.
They were asking about our snacks. I was sweating a little bit. And somebody to someone said, we are going to Casa de la Esperanza. And
somebody in a very commanding voice yelled something in Spanish.
Somebody said something to everybody, and
all of a sudden suitcases started closing. They started pushing them toward us, and
we were through.
And come to find out, what was interesting was come to find out a lot of the military and a lot of the police there in Chihuahua City.
Well, at the airport, I know for sure.
Yeah, the airport, sure, yeah. They graduated from Casa de la Esperanza,
or have had a family member,
or they had a family member that came out of there, and
they're very supportive of the school. Yeah,
it was a matter of as soon as well. Let me just give you this example. A friend of ours, Louise. Can I think of Louise?
I know I had pictures of them. I can't.
Yeah, I wish
remember. Anyway.
Louise. Anyway, his family had come back there. They had been with a group a year earlier. His family had come back there just by chance. We didn't know him before we met him on this trip. Well, thankfully, he and his wife both spoke Spanish so well, so they were very helpful while they were there. They weren't there the whole week we were there, but for the time they were there, they were very helpful. Well, he was the one that had told us about the fact that so many of the graduates of CASA have taken jobs in the security at the airport, the police, the military, and that's men and women. Yeah. And that's because they're so trustworthy. They're so they're considered to be such upstanding people when they get out. So
there's so many aspects of all that. We did take them to a water park. And we got to the water park, and it was a huge thing, but it's closed. And I mean, it was massive, but we walked in the front door, and because we don't speak Spanish, there was a huge outdoor water feature, dry as a bone. And somebody turned around and said, this is going to be a memory. Remember the day we took all the kids to the water park and the swimming pool was dry? We didn't know that there was an indoor pool beyond that, and they all had a great time.
Well, this is one of the examples that I was talking about. When the paper mill was operating at full capacity, the town, probably was flush with money, and they were able to build these nice features and great parks. They're still there. I mean, there's huge baseball stadium there, grown up, parking lots grown up in weeds, and it's all rusty now. But you can just see that at one time, this was a booming town.
Yeah.
And so they had this park, but now the only thing that's actually open is the enclosed swimming pool and the big slide.
They opened it for us.
And they opened it just for the school.
Mm-hmm, they did.
So that was a good thing. But the city, that was city owned, and they did let the school have it for a day, so we could spend the day with the kids as basically a last time we got to spend with them. But what I was going to say is, and this is the reason I brought up Louise, is JT and I needed to go get some lumber, and we needed to go get some material, some screws and some other stuff. And we, JT and I, were terrified to leave the campus, thinking here we are, we know C and
gracias,
and that's by the extent of what we knew at the time. We know a lot more now, But at the time, we were just terrified of trying to go into, either that town or the next bigger town, about 10 miles away, 15 miles away, and try to conduct business, and get what we needed for the shop. Well, Luis happened to be there, and so we asked him to go with us. So we were a lot more comfortable. We got to see that area outside of the campus of the school a lot better. And JT, I wish JT was able to join us.
I tried to call him. He's not answering. He's scared I'm gonna ask him to do something.
Well, that's okay. But anyway, here's the point I was trying to make. Our vans, every time a van that we were in had the name of the school on the side of it, it's like everybody got very respectful for us. Not because they knew us, not because they knew who we were in the van. They just knew that this school is so well thought of, as far as doing what its mission is set before it in the community, as it's perceived in the community. Plus the ministry that the church that's affiliated with the school does in the community. And so that was a major thing that we know. JT and I both noticed it.
The school's doing a fine job.
They are.
But what they need, and Pepe talked to us about this, is we connect with the children. Mm-hmm. We connect them to the world. We connect them to something outside of the school.
That is a great point. That is a great point.
They do better because of that.
Yeah.
And
well, just for example, you're sitting at a table. Now at the table, it's me and Sonar. We always sat together, and we may have 3, we may have 6 kids sitting at the table with us. Well, they want to know, what do you do? You find out I'm a lawyer. Oh, well, so-and-so said, he wants to be a lawyer. So then when, the very next meal, we happen to sit at the table where Alex. And, I think
Alex wants to be a lot of things, but a lawyer was one of them.
A lawyer was one of them. So, that's the kind of stuff they want to know. It's like Sonar said, this is one of the ways, other than a computer screen.
It's just connection to humanity too, Keith.
Right. That's the point I'm making is, and Sonar and her artwork. Oh my gosh.
I didn't get to do as much as I wanted on that.
No, but you didn't get to do the physical stuff, but when they saw her artwork, we would show them on the internet and stuff like that.
What's possible?
Oh, they wanted to be art. They wanted to, be an artist, and I love to draw.
They would point out the ones too that were artists, and there were some good artists.
So that's what Sonar is talking about as far as when groups like ours are there and we have the time to visit and listen to them and them listen to us, not without great difficulty, but that's
even
part of what
we
happens.
Now they talk like their tongue is tied down in the middle and loose on both ends. How fast they can go.
Now, to me, that's the problem.
It's so
because
fast.
They all talk like 100 miles an hour.
I even learned how to say, "Can you say that slowly?" It didn't sound any different.
You want to go ahead and talk about what we're doing as far as learning the language now?
It may have come in handy that I cannot control my facial expressions. I can. Everything's right here, so they probably knew what I was thinking at all times.
Well, let me say this: everybody in our group committed to learning Spanish after this trip,
and a lot of the people had already worked on it before they got there, and they did okay. And we had a couple of people that came along just to kind of be our translators.
Yes, that was,
but
we wore them out.
They were ready to cry that third day.
Hey.
She was. I know.
Karen, come here. Tell me what he's saying now. Isaac. Hey, what's he saying?
They just.
Isaac, how do I say so and so? Yeah.
They had other skills other than doing that. They were wanting to use, but we were not letting them.
No.
So she did really good.
No, we were all competing for the real interpreters just so we could communicate with the kids, but. Let's go back to the title of tonight's episode, Communicating Without Words.
Love without words.
Folks, I'm going to shut up, and I want you to do your best to talk about how you have a child sitting at the table with you, either next to you or across the table from you, and you're looking in that child's face. Does that child know you love them? You've never met them before, never seen them before. Does that child know you love them?
Well, I don't know if they know that I love them. I just know that you do.
Instantly, almost instantly. What about, did you know the child when he looked back at you, or when she looked back at you, did that child love you and was thankful you were there paying attention to them?
I think so. I think a lot of the time that was true. I did see children. I'm kind of an empath. It's a, it is, God has gifted me with being able to feel things probably too deeply. He did not see fit to give me a way to control it. So I cry all the time at things. But some of them you could tell wondered, and you would be able to see this in any person, in any society. You know, when you try to show the love of Jesus to somebody, they're suspicious. They're like, this can't be true. This can't be real. That's why I'm thankful we had a whole week, because I did see children that would just kind of side eye, you know, to begin with, laughing and carrying on. And if it was over nothing other than, I had so many good things to show you. And remember the milk, the boys, it was 100 degrees and they drank a whole pitcher of milk. They had a contest. They were just drinking it down. And that milk was not American milk. But anyway, it, you know, just the joy, you know, and some of the things we saw, and and the way they came to know us. But then that's why we cried so hard when we left them.
Yes.
You know, and it's not that we're leaving them in a bad place.
No.
We were crying for ourselves.
We just fell in love with them.
We're crying for ourselves.
We just fell in love with them. And we're going to tell you about our last night there. We had to get up like 2. No, we didn't get up at 2. Some of us didn't go to bed.
Yeah.
We had to get up like at 1:30
a.m.
and be on the vans heading to the airport at 2:00 in the morning on Saturday to catch our flight.
Right.
So Friday night was our last night with them. So after supper, they had a special service, and I'm gonna
Don't you make me.
I'm gonna say this, and it's because it's a culmination of how you interacted with some of them. You got to see and spend time with more than others. Some of them you saw all of them, you fell in love with all of them, but some of them, it just so happened that you sat at their table a time or two more than others. But there were 2 sisters and another girl and a guy. It's 4. And here's what I'm going to tell you about Friday night. Friday night after supper, they had a special ceremony for us. And everybody in our group was on the inside. We had a little meeting area. It was open air, but it was covered, but it was open air. And so we were on the inside, and we had our backs to each other. We were facing outward. All of the kids surrounded our group and were facing inward to us. They sang to us. They prayed over us.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it was time for them to break and go, get ready for bed, I mean, it was nothing but about 10 minutes of just hugging, and several of the kids would come back and get multiple hugs. That's just the way they were. And the 4 kids I'm talking about, guess what my name was for them? Papa. You're my papa. Two sisters, another girl, and a guy sought me out and wanted to hug me and said, "You're my papa."
Oh.
Yeah. How do you replace that?
Are you trying to kill me right now?
And so in this particular case, Papa was the one that they wanted to have with them, to love them, protect them, to fight for them, to defend them, to be their patriarch, because they didn't have one. They didn't have one in their family, in their life. And so that was very, very touching to me that those 4 kids made a point of, and several of them came and got multiple hugs from me. And they told me I was their papa. You're my papa. They could say that much. You're my papa, and point that finger at me. You're my papa.
They said what they thought you could understand.
Yeah, it was great though. It was great. Those I kid you not. You just fall in love with those kids, and oh my gosh, the beauty and the handsomeness of their physical features are just. I mean, even like the 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 7-year-old little boys, you look at that kid and go, he's going to be a model one day. He's going to be on the cover of Sports Illustrated one day. He's going to be on the cover of GQ magazine. They're just a beautiful people.
Yeah.
They were.
They were. They had told us before we went, but they really were.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we got so much more out of this than we deserved. And we wanted to, everybody got so excited about the pigs. Hannah came up with the idea to buy them a little pig, they could raise up, because they save every bit of their, scraps and everything. They feed that to the chickens and the animals and, everything that they're raising there.
They raise goats and
yeah. And before it was over with, Pepe had to tell us, we can't have 75 more pigs. We might could do 2, y'all can't give us that many pigs.
So anyway, we're thinking of other ways we can help them monetarily. But
the bigger picture, Keith, here, I mean, we're going to have to wrap up. I know I can't see.
Yeah, it's 7:25.
Okay. I think I would have been somewhat hesitant to go on a mission trip before I did this. That if you want to go with a group that's going to make you comfortable for a trip like this, not that you have to be, don't get me wrong. We sweated. We it was not.
Well, we worked. Goodness,
it was not all comfort. But I'm just saying, as far as the process. And going through this.
Yes. When you're talking about the process, when you're talking about the peace of mind of personal security
and kind of being told what to expect, what to pack, how to travel, and just kind of training you before you get there so that you have a good idea of, what your purpose is. This group, discipletrips.com. They did a wonderful job.
Yeah, Jeff was the lead director. Kellen was the assistant.
And I think they're watching. I think I saw something that said they were watching. I'm so sorry. We normally have this together so much.
Yeah,
better.
Snarl post the video in the photographs on the Invisible Things website. But I'm going to say, if you've got a church group, a youth group, and I am going to specifically say, you can't find a more appreciative situation.
Let's say you will find you can't say more. We haven't been on all the.
That's true.
trips.
Well, you're right. You're right. But I guarantee you, these people,
they will appreciate.
If you've got a church group, if you've got a youth group, if you've got a
business,
a
group of Christians,
a group of Christians in your business, you're going to, make a way for your staff to go and spend a week. Spend it here. Casa de la Esperanza.
You can't go wrong there.
Anawa. And Texas has a town spelled the exact same way. And in East Texas, we call it Anahuac. Anahuac, Texas. We knew them because they were world famous for having a great band program. And so you'd see them every year at band competitions. But that's how we got familiar with the phrase Anahuac.
But they say
in Mexico, it's actually called Anawa. And that's where this school is, the school and children's home. So we're going to encourage you. We'll post something on the website as well, a Facebook page of Invisible Things.
And there will be
for
people,
discipletrips.com.
there will be people that will say you do not have to go out of the country to go on a mission trip, and you do not.
It's true.
But what is a mission trip? It is going, it is doing, it is being. So talk is cheap.
Go, be, do. Go, be,
you may
do.
have to talk about it to get it organized, but go, do, be.
And yes, and one of the great benefits of discipletrips.com is the fact that these people who lead your group, they're not fish out of water. They've done this. They've led groups. And so,
just getting you through the airport.
Yes, just getting you through the airport is a major
they
thing.
Help
Because
you
you got to go through customs over, got to go through customs coming back. And it's very helpful that you say, hey, Jeff, where do we go now? How long is it going to be before we get there? And stuff like that. And the fact that he's done it, a time or two is very helpful.
And they're great spiritual leaders as well. Well, I mean, we got
I mean, we're going to run over a little bit, but let's run over talking about what happened every night. Everybody, nobody was working anymore. We'd stopped for the day. We'd eaten supper, fellowship with the kids a little bit, and then when it got time for them to go to bed, then we would
meet at the English Center.
We would withdraw to our area,
our group,
and then go ahead and talk about that.
Yeah, I think just being led through a little bit of just some scripture. There's a rawness to what you're doing there, and it peels away things that don't matter. And you're very open to experiencing things with God that you've not just personally. Do you feel that? That's how I felt.
Well, I remember the one night, and it was one of the early Monday or Tuesday night. I don't remember which it was, but several in our group. And again, it was our group leading our group. Mm-hmm. And Jeff, the discipletrips.com director, he would basically MC the little get together, but then it was us interacting with each other. And I remember that one night, how many people spoke up and talked about, for them personally, it was their ability, after being there for just a day or two, their ability to start distinguishing between fluff and needful things.
Yeah. What
really mattered and what were luxuries.
Yeah.
And I mean, it wasn't just one, it wasn't just two, it was everybody would start making the same point. That was a very common thing that we all got off this trip, is what really mattered to building the kingdom.
Yeah. Kingdom.
What
building.
really mattered to building the kingdom, and what was just for show, for somebody else's benefit, to feed somebody's ego, to feed our own pride. What about it? Distinguish it and get rid of it.
Maybe that's why just doing a mission like this is so good, because at least you can bring back that rawness of just scaling things down to what really matters. Because here we have so many comforts. We have so much, to occupy us, and there we
and distract us
for sure. Absolutely.
Well, here's something else I remember.
And I want before I forget, those children, every meal, number one, of course, they prayed, and the children actually are the ones doing the praying.
I'm glad you remember that.
And then remember how they did at least 2 recitations from memory. And one time they did Psalm 91, start to finish.
They recited the whole chapter out of the Bible. They did it every meal.
Yep. They did.
We prayed for every meal, too. And they recited memorization from the Bible every meal.
And those older ones would look at the younger ones and make sure they were trying. They were trying to recite it. And, they did such a good job. It was, it was humbling. It was humbling.
Yeah. Well, here's what I was going to say to try to wrap this up. uh, like I said early on, it was a case of how many people were so impressed with the Spirit leading them to say what matters, what's real, what's needful, and what's everything else.
And what do you want to take away from
Yeah.
this?
Yeah.
You know, and that Jeff, they had a book that they gave us
Yeah,
that we went through every night.
that's a good point too. That's
And
part of the
made us stop and think about and kind of process what was going on before the next day.
It was great.
And
It was great.
it was very good.
But here's what I want to bring the point of. By the end of the week, here's what several people were saying. I've worked all day. I am bone tired. Yet I found out I have enough in my tank that I can keep feeding these kids. I can keep loving on these kids. I can do way more for the kingdom than I thought I could.
Yeah.
My body's tired. My body's weak.
We may be just speaking for the old people, but
It was the young people that were saying it.
They were huffing a little too, weren't they?
Well, yeah, when you toted all those 4x8 sheets up those stairs at the church and those boxes of
Well,
tile.
they were working physically harder than I was.
Well,
so.
That's what I'm saying. That's
So-
what several of them were making comments about is I am so tired. I'm so fatigued. I mean, we have worked hard, but every day, every evening, you know, we go and eat our evening meal with these kids and we find we're not through.
We got more.
We got more. We got more we can do.
Yeah, we got.
And there were several who voiced this thought of, you know, I got to get out of my comfort zone because, you know, when I worked hard at the office and I go home and I've got my kids there, you know, my tendency is to go sit in my lounge chair and kick my feet up. And
You still found a recliner,
every now and then,
but you weren't in it all the
every
time.
now and then. But I'm talking about these are the young ones. These are the young guys in our group.
Yeah,
Talking about that's what I was used to at home.
yeah.
But here, I've got 51 kids to love on. I got 51 kids to make sure I draw a smile out of them or get a hug from them. And so several of them said, you know, I found out I had a whole lot more in my tank than than I ever knew, you know, back in the States.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a major thing, a major progression for the younger people.
And I do want to say, if you are an older person like us, I don't think you should be afraid to go. I think
No.
you should understand that you're not going to be able to play kickball, but you can hand out the candy to the winners, and you're not going to be able to do, you know, the carrying the sheetrock and things up the stairs, but you can mix the mud. You can do this. You can do that. There is always something. And bringing the experience and wisdom of older people around these young people, that's not going to be a bad thing.
No.
And, you know, guys who've had shops their whole life and, you know, done woodworking, get together a project to take, you know, get it shipped over there, have it ready to go and have Pepe, you know, can coordinate with them. I'm sure, you know, that can all happen, and anything can happen that you want. And,
This was such a blessing to us. Well, sweetie, how do you want to wrap it up?
I want to say, pray for the children at CASA.
Pray for their leaders.
Pray for their leaders.
Pray for the church organization that supports them and has provided them what they have, and then pray that, you know, what does Jesus say? The harvest is
The fields are
white into
and
harvest, but
and
the workers are few.
The laborers are
Pray
few.
pray that the Father will send more.
Go, be, do.
Go, be, do.
Yeah.
Go, be, do.
Yeah,
That's
show
going
them.
to be our mantra: is go, be, do.
Yeah. Mhm.
Uh,
And we are so thankful that we were invited.
Oh
go
yes,
on
it
this.
was a
Thanks,
blessing. It was
Seven
a
being
surprise to
invited
me because I'm thinking, you know, at our age,
They're
we're
not
going to
gonna
be asked to go and work on a mission trip. But
Yep.
it was perfectly suited. Me and JT did the workshop. I have a lot of carpentry experience.
He has a lot of supervisory experience.
Yeah. So I was very blessed we got to go, and because I got to go, Snar got to go. So we're very thankful about that. The last thing I want to say is we have tooted the horn of discipletrips.com. For goodness sake,
Kellen said
anybody
thank
who
you
thinks
in a
that they
text.
have anybody that wants to go, contact them, find out about it, and I would strongly recommend them as being the leader of your group. Number 2, Duolingo. Go ahead, Duolingo.
JT has signed us up in the family plan, and we are all encouraging one another, and we are all learning Spanish.
Yes,
and
because we're getting ready for our next trip to Casa de la Esperanza.
And if you speak it slowly, we can say a few things, but we're working on it.
Oh, Louise came in and commented, "Hey, Louise, so glad you're watching us tonight."
Yeah, we were just talking. The bicycles that they fixed.
Oh my gosh.
They fixed what? How many was it, Louise? 50?
60 bicycles.
60 bicycles?
One at a time. Louise was doing it.
Yeah,
him and Shay and the kids.
So many things accomplished in such little time.
Oh, and we got to meet Louise's family, Shay and the girls, and oh my goodness, what's your son's name?
Anyway, we're old. We can't remember everybody's name.
We're old people. But thank y'all for joining us tonight. We're out of time, and we're sorry, but we're going to put the photos and the video on the screen. 61 bikes. And he was doing them.
I had a picture too.
Yes.
I had a great picture of that, and I wanted to show that. But I guess
Kobe, that's right, Kobe.
That's right. We had to go on a mission trip and show the love of Jesus without words, and we've had to get on here with just words and talk about all this without pictures.
Because our pictures and video was
so God is limiting us in our ways and stretching us beyond our comfort zones.
That's right.
Here we go.
Good night, y'all. Thank you for joining us. We love y'all. Thank you for your faithfulness, and we'll be back next week, and hopefully we'll have all the electronic kinks worked out.
We hope so. All right, let's see. How are we going to get out of here, Keith? Because you are not on the.
No, I think you're going to have to go out to your computer.
Let me go try.
All right.
Go try it. Oh, we're stuck in a live stream now. Ask if anybody's got any questions.
Do what?
Ask if anybody's got any questions.
Well, yeah, if anybody's got any questions,
given
the time that Sonara's going out to her studio and getting it on her computer, because like I said, I was able to get on, but I'm limited in what I can do from my perspective, because I don't know, folks, y'all know, oh my goodness, the folks that know me, I hate a computer that's working today and I go to sleep tonight, and when I get up in the morning, I didn't touch anything. I didn't turn anything off, but stuff's just not working right. So anyway, well, she's going. If y'all, Donna wants to know when our next trip is. Our next trip is, we don't know yet. Don't know what the circumstances are. Like I said, our employment arranged this, paid for it. Made it happen, and we're so thankful for that. Now, the goal is they're going to have another trip, but it may be different people that are going to be sent on the next mission trip that's sponsored by 7B. And if Sonara and I are not included, that is perfectly fine, because our plan is to pay our own way and get to go, because we want to see those kids again. So. Oh, I mean, I'm telling you, you just fall in love with them. You just fall in love with them. Great kids, beautiful kids. It was so awesome. And, if you're lucky enough like we were to get to meet a great family like Louise and Shay and their kids who just happened to be visiting the same time, and they were on their own coming to the school to just spend time there and work with the kids and help with the kids. And we got to meet them. So there you are.
Hey.
We ready to go? All right. Bye, y'all. Have a good night. We love you.